The crystals shone brightly at the top and gave off a slightly blue hue to the area below it. They looked at the houses and then at each other. It looked quite beautiful and peaceful, Quinn thought. He could see some advantages to living in a place like this, despite it being away from the sunlight. Maybe I'm becoming more like a vampire if I think a place like this is nice to live in, he thought. We can take some time to explore if you're worried, Feck said, as he saw Quinn admiring the tower. What do you mean? Quinn replied. I just thought you might be worried. The others would leave with those travelers. More than likely, they already know of an exit. I asked my little Ham to follow them from above. Once he knows where the exit is, he'll come and find me. Ham, is that the little flying bull from earlier? Quinn was quite interested in the companion, wondering if he was able to get something like that himself. Yeah, good name, right? Ignoring Fex's last words, Quinn continued to walk up to the tower. There was a single large double door with an arched entrance. The door was engraved with strange patterns, all of which Quinn had seen in images before while learning about the Dalkey architecture. But right now he wasn't too sure if it was Dalkey-related or vampire-related. In the middle of the door, there was a circular hole that seemed to go a few inches deep. It's a lock, Feck said. These doors, I've seen them in my castle before. They're impossible to open without some type of key or mechanism. Also, don't even think about trying to break it. Trust me, they're meant to even withstand attacks from the vampire leaders. Doesn't that mean there's something important here? Quinn asked. Yeah, but I don't know what, Fex replied. Going up to the door, Quinn decided to try and give it a push using all his strength. He was half expecting it to do something, but as Fex had informed him, it didn't budge at all. It was hard to imagine Quinn had superpowers while watching him push the door. I told you it was pointless, man. I hate to say it, but perhaps this was a wasted trip after all. Let's just rest somewhere nearby and wait for Ham, and then we can get out of here, Feck shouted. Just as Quinn was about to agree and head off, the system had something to say. Don't give up yet, the system said. Do you remember that red blood crystal you received from defeating the King-tier beast? Why don't you place that on the door and see what happens? The system seemed to know more about this place than it was letting on. He took out the crystal from his inventory and placed it in the strange hole inside the door. Fex, upon seeing this, started wondering, what the heck is he doing? A few moments later, the sounds of mechanical locks being unlocked could be heard. The gears shifted, and the door pulled inwards, opening a way up inside the tower. Are you coming? Quinn asked. Ham was up in the air while looking down at the fairly large town. It was slowly following the group of students, along with the travelers, to see where they were heading. It was high enough in the sky, so the light source on their beast gear was unable to reach Ham. Then again, with his eyesight, he was able to see them quite well in the dark anyway. I hope Master is all right, Ham said, sniffing and allowing the large snot from his nose to lift. He had been crying nearly the whole time, thinking about the possibility of Fex leaving him. He sniffed once, hoping to bring the snot back up from his nose. However, while doing so, he did it just a little too late, allowing a droplet to fall from above. Splat! A small drop of liquid fell on one of the bald twins' heads. Is it raining here? He said as he wiped the wet mark from his head. You idiot, we're underground. Of course it isn't raining. There's probably a river above or condensation or something, the other twin said. As the group was walking, Logan and Peter made sure to stay at the back. However, Lily continued to stay behind the entire group as a type of guard in case anything appeared. Peter's pace was starting to slow a little as he was being more affected by his hunger. Peter, how long can you hold out? Until we get outside, I might be able to do something by then, Logan whispered. Peter immediately looked up at Logan from his position. He didn't say anything. Instead, his eyes were starting to show a slight tint of red in them. Okay, looks like you won't last that long. Looking around, Logan was trying to rack his brain for every option possible. Finally, the group had reached one of the tunnels that led out of the city from the streets. While looking at all the tunnels around them, Logan thought the place resembled an ant's nest, with many branching tunnels in the end, all leading to one destination. While walking through the tunnels, Logan had come up with an idea that perhaps would enable Peter to feed away from everyone. But before executing the idea, he needed to get some information. So with all these tunnels, how do you guys know the way out? Logan asked. These tunnels are like a maze, and they either seem to loop with each other or all end up going back to the original town we just left from, Andy replied. In the end, we never found an exit, so we decided to create our own. In one of the tunnels, we marked ourselves. When we noticed the blue crystal lights, we placed red lights by the tunnel we created ourselves that led up to the surface. With the answer to how to leave the place, Logan could now execute his plan. The other students, including Logan, had come down the tunnels via a strange, plant-like beast. Logan had scanned the place before coming down, so he knew there was a space between the surface and the ground they were currently on, and was prepared for it. But even Peter had broken his legs, dropping from such a height, and he had a stronger structure than a regular human. It was a sad thought, but some of the other students were consumed by the strange, plant-like beast. A few of them were most likely unable to make it, and had fallen to their death. Unless they had an ability that could save them, this would be the case. All Logan needed to do was to make them split up with the others and search through the tunnels for one of these that Peter could feed on. It wouldn't be too strange if the teachers found a student's beasts would do these types of things all the time. Finally, the group exited the tunnel and entered another larger section with several more tunnels. The second they entered the room, though, Peter loudly screamed as if he was in pain. It seemed too sudden. By Logan's predictions, they should have had more time. Looking around the room, though, he soon spotted the cause. His theory was right. Some students had fallen to their death after being consumed by the plant because there were a couple of students in front of them, their bodies mangled on the ground. The smell and sight of the students had caused a reaction inside him. If he hadn't seen them, then perhaps they would really have had more time. Not knowing what to do, Logan rushed towards Peter with his suit still on and picked him up from the ground. If it weren't for the suit he was wearing, Logan wouldn't have been able to even pick up Peter due to the size difference. While lifting him and placing him above his shoulder, Peter remained motionless in the same position, not even moving his hands. He just kept groaning. Right now he was using every bit of energy and was concentrating on not lashing out and going toward the students. But even more so, he didn't want to bite his friend Logan, who was carrying him right now. Logan kept running with Peter on his shoulder, picking a tunnel at random. "Wait, what are you doing?" Lily shouted, concerned for them. The others had already gone over to inspect the other students to see if they were still alive and if there was anything they could do. However, it was too late. Unaware of the commotion going on behind them, they only realized something was happening when Lily shouted out to them. "Wait!" Lily shouted out again, genuinely concerned for the two, so she decided to chase after them. Suddenly, Logan's hand had transformed into one of his blasters. He aimed it at the ceiling and blasted it away, causing the tunnel to crumble down, blocking the path between them.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.